These guys know how to get our attention and monetize us. And they know how to monetize space. And they know how to monetize a pandemic. And they get richer and richer. And we just sit around and clap. And cheer. And we think that because we're clapping for these people, it somehow rubs off on us and makes us special. That's the thing. We're fans. We identify with what we like, the brand or the person, and that makes us special for some reason. What happened to agency? I read a nice blog post by a guy I follow on Substack. He was talking about agency and how children back in the day would work. Now, child labor is a bad thing, okay? I'm not talking about that. But people had things to do. Entrepreneurs like Carnegie had 1 million jobs before they got rich. And they learned what they could do, what they could produce, what they could create. They learned from mistakes. They created relationships, and these relationships turned into value. And what do we have now? What kind of agency do our children have now? Their biggest dream is they're going to become YouTubers. They're going to go online and chat through a camera all day long while they take off and put on makeup and costumes. Man, it's tragic. Where's the agency? Where's the going out and having a paper route and cutting some grass and having a few jobs, modestly getting on with it, learning from experience? Oh, Jesus Christ. Scared me. So we're lacking that now. And so we fall into this fandom thing. We're spending our money on in-game, in-app purchases for our little computer games and smartphone games. We're even borrowing money to do that. Doesn't make any sense. It's sad, really. And if you bring it up, people will hate you for it. Because the last thing we want to think about is any of this stuff. We just want to get excited. So Conor McGregor was fighting Justin Poirier, UFC, mixed martial arts. I'm a fan. I too am a victim of bread and circuses. So Conor lost the last time he fought Poirier, so he was thinking, well, I was a gentleman, a class act, and I got knocked out. So that didn't work for me. So I'm going to go back and do all the training with all my trainers, and he's a brilliant athlete and brilliant martial artist. And I'm going to put the bad boy back into the picture, because that'll make me win. So he starts to hate on Justin. Last time they had sportsmanship, mutual respect. They were even nice to each other. This time, none of that. The bad boy Conor is there again, making comments about Justin's wife and family and all that kind of bullshit. Your mama. It's really sick, sad, childish crap. Justin was just like, I don't care about that crap anymore. I'm just gonna go fight. So the first round, well, first of all, there's all the hype, because it's a business, which is fine. They gotta hype it up, so you have a week of that. I feel sorry for the fighters like Justin who are tired of that. They don't like that part of it anymore. And then when you get to the main event, you know, the cameras are showing all the famous people in the front rows. Bom dia. And so one of the Kardashian people is hanging out in front row, sitting with some other celeb. He sticks his tongue out, sticks it in her mouth, and then they look at the camera and the Kardashian cocks their head and smiles. Then they say, this NBA guy is here, and this NFL guy is here, and this movie star, and oh, Justin Bieber's in the building. Dana White, who's the CEO of UFC, he knows that you have to do this to sell pay-per-view, and they live or die by pay-per-view. So I understand that. It's all part of the game. It's not fun, but you're there to make money, so it's necessary. And it's shallow as shit. I mean, you have to see through it. I like watching the fights. I respect the fighters. I had a gig once doing media for Thai boxing. And I love the fighters, and it's a really amazing sport anyway. But the business is business, and it's absurd. You can still be a fan and see through all the BS. Oh no, I don't know if I want to go this way. I want a view, a beautiful view. We'll see. So anyway, it starts. Conor kicks his thigh a few times and misses a bunch of shots. Maybe hits him once, hits Justin once. And then Justin nails him a few times, Conor, and he's in trouble. And Justin shoots, he goes in to take Conor down. Conor gets a guillotine, which is not really his forte, to do submissions, really. He's more of an early round striker type. And Justin's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He gets out of the submission attempt and commences just wailing on, beating the heck out of Conor. There's no excuse. Conor can't pretend like he was winning. He was losing. And he's raining down elbows. Conor puts his fingers in Justin's gloves. It's clear to see he was holding Justin down. That's illegal. Justin looks at the the referee in the ring, decides to get up and spend the last few seconds of the round swinging. And Conor takes a big punch. Justin and Conor both miss, but Conor's leg breaks. So he might have hurt himself when he was kicking Justin's knee and thigh, who knows. But he goes down, and Justin pounces on him, starts hitting him in the head, but it stopped because of the leg break, and so Justin wins. That's the way the thing goes. It's a technical knockout. So Conor afterwards is screaming obscenities, saying he's gonna kill Justin Poirier. They're gonna have to fight in the streets or in the ring. It's inevitable. He's gonna kill him. Shouting insults about his wife, his family, all that crap. It's really stupid shit. Okay, you can find all this out. Just go to YouTube if you're interested. You don't have to hear my story. But this is a preamble because what's amazing is they love Conor McGregor and they don't like Justin Poirier, the fans in the hall and the fans in the chat and all that, as much, because Justin's boring. He's just a guy, a prize fighter, a family man, somebody who's trying to do good in the world, who loves his sport and makes a living, good living at it. He's boring. And they love Conor because he's a crass piece of shit, because he's an ugly Goomba, because he's a Peaky Blinder, he's a little Tony Soprano, he's a murderer, he's a killer, he's rude, you know, it's like Trump. they just love it. That's interesting, that's fun, that's exciting, that's entertainment. The rest of it is boring. So that's the mentality of our spectators now. So maybe it's always been that way, but it's not this refinement of understanding what excellence is and saying, wow, this person has great character, he's a brilliant martial artist, great fighter, a good man. And I go for those kind of people. No. I like the bad guy. I'm fascinated with serial killer documentary series on Netflix. That's my point. So we're learning how to love the ugly, you know? Let's love the ugly. Because it's exciting, because it's hyper stimulating, because it's more fun, funny, you know, watching the lady pour cinnamon down her face, you know, that kind of thing. In the old, remember Duck Dynasty? I don't know if you know that, but you know, these kind of things. So it is the lowest common denominator kind of thing, lowbrow. Not very interesting, so this nice little party. It smells good. So, I don't get depressed about it. I mean, I'm not sad or upset really, because every day I look around and not purposefully, not because some great habits of effective people person wrote it down and I read it in a book, not because of Lao Tzu or the Bible, but because it's just a natural thing. I make an inventory every day of all the things I'm thankful for. I entertain myself. I laugh. A lot of times I feel like a little kid. I mean like a toddler. Just laughing at nothing in particular. Just feeling the thrill of existence. I don't know why that is. I really don't. Because I sleep like a normal guy. I drink wine like a normal guy. There's nothing special about me. I'm not following any program. And I haven't been to see Tony Robbins or anything like that. But I've learned over the years, because I've always had agency and I've done a lot of things. Failed a lot, done a lot of different kinds of jobs, worked in a lot of different areas, mostly in the service industry. And I've traveled the world and I've lived in 7 countries and so on and so forth. So, and there you go, agency. And I've learned over the years, like Justin Poirier, that there are important things and then there are not important things. And you just don't sweat the not important things. That's why I like Stoicism. It would be nice to be a Stoic sage. I'll never get there. It'll never happen for me. But you know, it's something to think about, meditate on, and it's a decent aspiration. I want to learn, I want to grow, and I know I can do that if I spend a little time on it. But I'm never going to be a top guy. I'm never going to be a player. I'm never going to be like an investor in startups or whatever the hell you think is cool. I'll never ever be that. I'll always be a bit annoying. I'll never be the most popular guy anymore because nobody wants to talk about the shit I want to talk about. Or maybe they do. But I just can't talk to anybody because we have a pandemic and I can't go and meet people face to face and smile and use my sense of humor and my charm to keep them engaged in a conversation with me. So here I am on YouTube, riding around, talking to myself. Hello, doggy. Hello, sweetheart. But if you are sad and if the noise is bothering you and you do feel down, what works for me is unplugging for a day or two. You don't need that much. It's like with exercise. A little bit goes a long way. You really don't have to do CrossFit 4 times a week to feel good and to be healthy and have a nice physique. You can do it with more moderate efforts. You don't have to be that extreme. So yeah, it's like grandma told you, get sleep, eat good. And if you are sad, do some exercise. And that could be just taking a long walk. A long time ago, I recognized that my going to the gym and lifting weights was really good for me. And I've never been like a bodybuilder, I've never been bulky or anything, just fit. And I love riding bicycles, as you know. So if you're feeling down and sad, move your body. Go out and take a long walk. Look at the trees, look at the people, look at the buildings. Let your mind wander. It's almost like meditation. If you do have a mandala or some focus that you want to focus on, go ahead and do that. Go to the gym and lift weights. Don't be too competitive about it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Look in the mirror and say, well, gosh, there's some blood in my muscles now. That's nice. You don't have to look like Brad Pitt when he was in some movie. You don't have to look like Conor McGregor. You don't have to fight like Conor McGregor, But you could swing your fists at a heavy bag if you tape your wrists up properly. And and then obviously go talk to your friends, but don't just commiserate. And if you want to have a drink with a friend, fine, but alcohol is a depressant, so be wary of that. But go chat with your friends and don't just complain to them. Yeah, it's okay to commiserate and to complain a little bit. You want a sympathetic ear, but don't dwell on that because you'll get in the habit of that and it'll just bring you down. So in the end, you kind of blow the cobwebs out of your sadness and depression, and you start to feel what it's like just to be alive. And that takes the edge off of the sadness, the loneliness. If you're in despair or depressed or suicidal, you've got to find help. And if you're in a bad state of mind where your mental habits are just on a loop and you can't shake them, and they're bringing you down, or if you're blaming everyone and everything else for your problems, that's not a good sign. Then you might need cognitive behavioral therapy or something like that to get you through. And I would also say, please avoid too much medicalization of everything. You may indeed have post-traumatic stress, but have it clinically diagnosed and then be careful about medication. But that doesn't mean that you go to an alternative medicine practitioner. I mean, maybe you can fix yourself just by taking long walks, and that would be best. And I think any responsible doctor or psychologist would agree with that. And of course, with COVID, if you're healthier and younger and stronger and all that stuff, you're going to have better outcomes when you catch the virus. But that doesn't mean that you don't need a vaccine. All hands on deck. So you may need medical intervention, but get it from the best people. You know, it's like, yeah, if the doctor is, the first thing the doctor says is take this Oxycontin and call me in the morning and don't worry about the dose, and you've educated yourself a bit about the opioid crisis, you might want to say, no, doctor, I think I'll find a second opinion. Doesn't mean that you blindly follow big pharma or your doctor or, you know, whatever. There are problems in all of these systems and in all of these businesses, primarily, in my opinion, because we live in a profits-first culture. So everything takes a back seat to making money, and that causes problems. The incentives are messed up because of greed, and because it's just cooler and better and more respectable if you're making money, right? And if you're thinking about the patient's welfare 100% of the time, you lose your practice, maybe. So that's bad. But yeah, if you do need help, get help. Try to find the best practitioners you can to help you through the bad patch. And if you do need medication, take it judiciously and carefully. And make sure that you're thinking about the whole, you know, the community, the culture, the society, all those values, your body, your food, your sleep patterns, exercise, friendships. It all goes together. People who don't understand or don't want to learn that the microbiome in your gut affects your brain. I mean, these days we know this stuff and we should learn about it, because those are the people that will never believe that global warming is a problem, because they can't think systemically and they have no clue about complexity theory or complex systems, and they don't want to know, because the simple, easy way is the profitable way, and the way that gets them attention and gets them their nice car or whatever the hell they need to look cool. I gotta have a space plane. I gotta have my astronaut wings. I gotta feel weightlessness for 3 to 5 minutes. If it takes 20 years and people have to die, I'll spend whatever it takes, even if I have to screw my employees at Virgin Atlantic. I'll get it done because I am Richard Branson. Do you feel me? I mean, this kind of bullshit could make anyone depressed or sad. But lucky for me, my constitution is pretty good, so it doesn't get to me. I can look at all of this stuff and say, interesting, fascinating. Why is it like this? I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to get decked out and put on some accessories and some cologne and go out and attract the girls' attention and make the guys give me some respect. But you know, we're supposed to grow up. And the more stuff you've done when you were young, the faster you'll grow up. I used to say the best way to protect yourself from a woman is to have too many of them. That's bad. But I wasn't serious, only half serious. You know, you have experience, you get your heart broken a few times, and then you understand some girls just aren't going to like you that much, or they're not going to feel safe with you, or they like somebody else better, and it's going to hurt for a while, but you'll get over it. You'll be fine. And it's the same thing with failure, you know, and difficult conversations. If you've had enough difficult conversations, it doesn't hurt that much anymore. You can learn from them. If you've been called on the carpet enough times, it's not as frightening anymore. You can learn from that experience. Stand up for yourself. And I think, you know, when we get into a situation where we're limiting our opportunities to experience life in many different ways, we risk losing our agency and our ability to learn from the bullshit, from all the nonsense. Yeah, you can even learn from the bullshit and ride it out. And then you can get to that point where you can say to yourself, wow, I'm really lucky. I'm really fortunate that I'm not that person, that child in Yemen, whose experience in this life was to starve to death. Or that Afghan wedding party that got vaporized by a bomb from a drone from the United States of New Miracles. Capture and kill. No, you're not in Afghanistan, are you? You're not in Mali. You're not in parts of the Congo where your kids could be kidnapped from their school. You may not even be in Chirac. You may not be warehoused in a for-profit prison making Zara clothes and sneakers for Target. Your life might be a lot better than that. You have a sense of humor, you have a pretty good education, you have a few friends, more than enough, some family. You have the ability to make choices, hopefully. You can go out and experience life. Why wouldn't you be thrilled like a child? Why wouldn't you be ecstatic? Because the future is looking like we're going to, wow, a lot of wind. The future is looking like it's going to get hotter and hotter. The climate's going to shift a lot, which means that food growing regions won't be food growing regions anymore. The fish we were eating won't be there anymore. And at the end of the day, we all get to starve to death like that poor child in Yemen. And believe me, I can't imagine a more horrific way to die than starving to death. Donner Pass, people starving to death, eat their comrades. That's how nasty it is. It's so bad that you would eat your wife, not to starve to death. It hurts, man, and it hurts for a long time. You know? It's a lot worse than whatever you imagine the vaccine's gonna do to you. But we can't come together and cohere and cooperate, collaborate to prevent mass starvation. And it's not like we don't know what starvation does, because we've seen it in Ethiopia. We have rock concerts. To raise money for those bloated children. And then a few years later, we forget about it. Times are good. It's the economy, stupid. You have the Balkans, then you have Syria. But we're not there. We should count our lucky stars. Because if we don't cohere and get our shit together in this grotesque information ecosystem that we find ourselves in, we are going to wake up in a world suddenly where there's mass starvation again. And it's not going to be caused by the Cultural Revolution this time, like it was in China. There's some real political misdeeds. It's going to be caused by our lifestyle, because we didn't think things through. We didn't leave the marshmallow on the table and wait for the guy in the lab coat to come back in and feed us a Kit Kat as a reward. And I hate to say this because my friends have children and grandchildren. So they hate my guts, they hate me. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow or 10 years or 20 years from now or 50, but it's just heading in that direction. And even on CNN they talk about it sometimes now. Wow, crazy. They must be monetizing global warming. And I noticed with Virgin Space, whatever, that they were trying to greenwash this fucking stupid space plane. They're saying you're gonna go up there and you're gonna see maybe, not even, the curvature of the Earth, and you're gonna go, wow, it's all interconnected, man. You're gonna become Daniel Schmattenberger all of a sudden and recognize the interconnectedness. You're gonna be like a Buddhist monk back in the day, in the 14th century. You're gonna be like, whoa, I just dropped acid, man, and everything's connected. Everything's interconnected, dude. I'm part and parcel of the whole wide universe. I'm star stuff. It's not gonna happen. Oh my God. Greenwashing that stupid space plane. The delivery vehicle, the mothership, drops the space plane, the rockets fire. It goes up, they're weightless for 3 to 5 minutes, then it glides back down to Earth. Whoa, fuck, Jesus. Electric cars in 1930, 1940. Wow. Isn't that great? Innovation, entrepreneurship, billionaire vanity projects, greenwashing. It's disgusting. We got to make materials that don't need to be recycled. We got to have energy sources that aren't from fossil fuels. and energy storage systems that are better. And then we have to really protect the soil, the complex ecosystem of the soil, biological, elements of the soil, and so on and so forth. These are all simple things. Nothing new. And we can do that. We materials technology, Carbon nanotubes. I'm going to have a carbon nanotube skeleton. My bone marrow is going to be in it, but it's going to be like better bone marrow. And I'm going to have these nanobots running around my circulatory system, cleaning all the plaques out and shit. Same thing for my brain. And I'm going to have this ideal microbiome in my gut. And all this stuff. Then my skin's gonna grow back younger and I'm gonna be youthing instead of aging. And in 3 to 5 years, I'm gonna be 30 instead of 60 something. Yeah, that's gonna happen. I don't know, it could. Most probably not. But, if we did get our shit together culturally, psychologically, and sociologically, and economically, there might come a day when that happens. And Seltzer on CNN will go, "Whoa, man, you just blew my mind." As if, people haven't been talking about this shit for decades. Like you don't read science fiction, like you don't know who Kurt Weill is and all these other people, the singularity folks and life extension peeps and materials science folks, engineers and whatnots, biological computing. Anyway, it's sad, It's like we have to greenwash it because we're monetizing space. We have to justify it to our shareholders. But I promise you, Peter Thiel wouldn't think that was a big fucking deal. That's definitely not a 0 to 1 proposition, taking a space plane up. So my whole thing is I want people to be happy, ecstatic about being alive, to have resources that are, there so they can have a nice life and thrive and be, productive. And to be proud of their productivity, what they create and the relationships that they form and maintain and the care that they give, the love that they give. Basic human stuff, man. And then maybe we'll make it. But I want that here and now, I want that for people who are getting sad, who are letting the noise get to them. I don't want anyone to have to wait for that. I don't want anyone to have to wait for a decent vaccine in Africa. And I don't want anyone to wait for happiness in San Francisco. Some form of it, some experience of it, being alive, feeling good about that. Why should we wait for these things? Makes no sense. Because it is doable. Why should we wait for peace in the Middle East? Why should we wait to end the wars in Yemen and other places? Why should we wait to save those starving children? Because the great game and the players who play the great game don't give a flying fuck about you and me or those other people. And when they pretend to care, that's marketing, that's PR, that's greenwashing. In an ethical sense, business ethics sense, they're ethics washing. Even if Bill Gates does some good things and so on and so forth, he's not that powerful or that smart. It would be nice if we could have some form, at least even metaphorically, of the wisdom of the crowd. Then we might have a demos, we might have a democracy somewhere. You can't have a democracy with a population of easily manipulatable people. If you're going to buy into this PR bullshit, you're not going to be a very enlightened voter. And if our leaders have to have so much money to get reelected, they're not our leaders. We've financialized politics. It doesn't matter if you're a progressive or a hardened libertarian conservative. And you look at the patterns. I've been rereading books that I started reading in the late 90s when I was an entrepreneur and wanted to be smart. Oh, that's a nice pool. Can you see the nice pool with the nice grass? That's a nice spot. So I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to be smarter, wanted to have better agency, reading a lot of books on different things, not just business management, not just what the CEO of GE was doing, but all kinds of things. And I've lately been skimming or rereading some of those, finding out how prescient they were, how they really understood what was going on at the time, and they wrote a good, well-researched book, not really ideological, and nobody listened back then. Nobody's listening now. No one wants to think about this stuff. So the same thing keeps happening over and over again, and it just gets worse. However you want to define neoliberalism or capitalism or anything, I don't care. We just keep doing the same things over and over again. It just gets more pathological. And the only progress we're making, I say this over and over again, is, we have better smartphones and stuff, nicer electric bicycles, cars with lots of computer chips, processing power in them. That's all great stuff, but it's not enough. And I'm sorry, I can't be happy with that. I'm happy pedaling. I'm happy talking with people. I'm happy collaborating, creating. It's not fun sometimes doing the work, but in the end it really is. It feels great. All the difficult relationships turn out to be meaningful and substantive, and they turn out to be a kind of nutrition for the soul. So if you can unplug, drop in, and not cop out, maybe we can pull this thing together. I don't have that much hope for it. But in the moment, you can live like that. You can see through the BS. YouTubers and public intellectuals They all have incentives and ways of making money, monetizing their opinions. They know how to get clicks, attention-grabbing subjects, and a lot of times they compromise their integrity to make money. Sorry, it's just true. Everybody does it. So it's important to form your own opinion. Make mistakes, admit when you're wrong, change your opinion. When facts come in, evidence comes in that warrant your changing your opinion. So, how do I sum this up? That Virgin thing, I forgot his space thing, Virgin space or whatever. And the Elon thing and the Bezos thing, it's all bullshit. It's another branch of monetization. It's not helping at all. And the people who do the hard work, the real work, they're working with really complicated stuff, and it's boring for us to learn about it. It's not exciting. It's not gangster like Conor McGregor. So we can't pay attention to it because it's no fun. And so we go for the hyper-stimulating plastic bits, colorful and funny. And we miss out on all the meaning and the joy, the real joy of life. I guess the Kardashian lady at the fight has a lot of fun and stuff. She must think her relationships are meaningful. She's just a human being. But I see it as so shallow. Grotesquely ego-driven. And not really helpful in any sense. But who knows, she might be a really great mother. And Conor McGregor might be a really great dad. He's certainly an amazing entrepreneur. And he is a fantastic martial artist and fighter. But I think his days are done. I think that bluster and gangsterly bullshit isn't gonna fly anymore. Or maybe it will. Maybe that's what the market ordered and will always order. Thumbs down. Take his life. Revenge. Power. Domination. But all that comes from fear, insecurity. It's amazing to think that a guy like Conor McGregor would be just a frightened little boy, wondering if he's gonna get beaten again. So he has to wind himself up by being a jerk. Fucking sad, in my opinion. So there you go. That's how I sum it all up. Work on your agency. If you didn't have a chance to do that when you were a child, get busy with it right now. I don't care if you're 65 years old. Bouliam tea, out.